Reading number. This morning I'm going to be going back to the topic of redemption, and we often think about redemption, but when we are confronted with someone asking us the question of what is redemption, sometimes we might stumble. And so I wanted to talk to you about that, but I wanted to introduce something before I go ahead and do that. When I was in college, my first year in college, and we were required to take a course in English writing. And, my friends and I, who were enrolled in this English writing class, we all thought, we've all done well in high school, and we know how to write. And so we submitted our first assignment. And to my incredible amazement, I got an F. F on my first writing assignment. I can tell you, I have never, ever in my life received a grade F. That didn't exist in my life. So that was the first time I saw this grade, and I went, what? And then it was like all kinds of comments and the crossing out. The professor just went on a tear. Well, so I wasn't really feeling good at all. And so we went to the next class, and there was no one who was happy in the class. Everybody. It turned out the professor failed every single one of us. Every single person had the same grade, which was grade F. And then the professor began to explain. He said, I'm not sure whether it was he or she at this point. I guess I didn't really want to remember that class, huh? And the reality is that grade did not count. That was a test on the part of the professor. And then the next assignment was this. Now that we know how tough the grading will be in that class, the professor said, I want you to write something very creative. You can write it any genre. You can compose some writing, or you can do a poem, you can do a song, do whatever you want to write, but to be very creative. Well, I said, I'm in trouble because I had never done creative writing up to that point. I didn't know what it meant. And so we were given 2 weeks to complete this assignment. And now I'm struggling. I generally didn't struggle with any of my classes, but this one I really struggled. And this is, what you're about to see is a little tiny poem. It's almost childish poem. And the title of the poem is Wondering and Wandering. Now, you got to understand the context. The context is the first year college English writing class. Okay? This is after having failed the first paper. And this is what I wrote. And it only came together at the last minute. I didn't have anything. I didn't know. I kept writing, and I kept tearing up, and I rewrite. I just couldn't write it. And this came to my mind. The difference between wondering and wandering is that wandering gets you somewhere, but wondering gets you nowhere. I wonder. That's what I wrote. Now, it is somewhat childish, but it's poetic. It's a poem. It expresses something that was going through my mind, something that was in my heart. And it's really, the poem expresses something that other writings, other genres cannot express. Right? Now, however you understand it is fine, what I wrote. Because unless I explore